Thank you, Braxton. Next up, we have Annie Larson, who's going to be talking a little bit about Pāku'iku'i.
Thank you, everyone, for joining me today. I am a first-year TCBES student, and for my thesis, I am exploring the early life history and habitat connectivity of Pāku'iku'i, or Acanthurus achilles, around Hawaii Island, with the help of Lillian Tuttle-Ross and Timothy Grabowski. The Achilles tang are a culturally important food source in Hawaii and have been prime targets for the aquarium trade before the ban was placed on aquarium collection in Hawaiian waters. Recently, Pāku'iku'i have been mysteriously declining in West Hawaii, and in an effort to determine why that may be, a moratorium or no-take has been placed on them for 2 whole years, beginning in December of 2022 and lasting until December of 2024. There are many knowledge gaps surrounding this species, some of which have been addressed. Our unit, the Hawaii Cooperative Fishery Research Unit, currently has a paper in revision explaining the age, growth, and reproduction of this species. Additionally, during the planning process for the state exercising its adaptive management authority for this species, DAR recognized there are many knowledge gaps surrounding their early life history, including their larval distribution, recruitment dynamics, and juvenile and adult habitat connectivity. As far as we know, adults are associated very shallow, high surgy environments. Meanwhile, we're not quite sure where juveniles prefer to be, but it is presumed that they prefer much deeper environments. However, there is still this transition between juvenile to adult habitat that we still don't quite yet understand. One of the reasons we know so little about how their early life history may be contributing to their decline is because we rarely see juveniles. For example, the West Hawaii DAR surveys have only witnessed 62 juvenile of Pāku'iku'i between the years of 1999 and 2021, which is very, very concerning. However, in contrast, on the east side of the island, we can go out at least one dive site and see 10 juveniles on a given dive. Therefore, the east side of the island makes it the perfect location to study this species' early life history, including their habitat associations and behaviors by doing targeted scuba surveys. Based on this information, we will be able to better predict where juveniles may be on the west side, or at least get a better understanding of the biological mechanisms leading to their population decline. Okay, well, I have backup. This was supposed to be a video, but I have a backup in case it didn't work, thank goodness. So far in Hilo, I have seen juveniles at depths between 12 and 18 meters, with around 10 individual juveniles observed over an entire hour dive period. I have noticed that these juveniles are solitary or loosely associated with conspecifics. If they are in the deeper end of this depth range between 13.5 to 18 meters, I see that juveniles tend to be associating with other juveniles, but when they're in the shallower end of this depth range between 12 and 13.5 meters, they are associated with adults. And here this video is taken at 14 meters where you can see 2 individual juveniles grazing together. This video also doesn't work, but it's okay, we have backup. So in this video, you can see that juveniles do not express territorially aggressive behavior, which does contrast with their adult counterparts, who are known to be very territorially aggressive. Instead, they are experiencing territorial aggression by other surgeonfish species, including Kole and brown surgeonfish. While they're not dodging other surgeons, they tend to peacefully roam the reef, grazing on algal turf near Parietes compressa and Poecilopora meandrina beds. In addition to our scuba surveys, we have started to create a long-term data set in which we go out between new and half moons, and we deploy a larval fish light trap at a nearshore location in Hilo. We've been successful at catching a variety of fish from approximately 4 families, and so far, after deploying light traps at the surface, we've been successful at catching a variety of fish from 4 different families. From these families, we have caught 2 surgeonfish, these 2 manini on the bottom right that you can see. However, this low catch of surgeonfish is not unexpected, given that we are sampling at the surface, and larval surgeonfish are associated with much deeper waters, between 20 and 50 meters. So our next step is to anchor the light trap deeper in the water column so that we can hopefully get a better estimate of larval surgeonfish recruitment. Based on these observations, we are now at the stage in my thesis where we will use my understanding of juvenile behavior to build a priori candidate models that predict the distribution of Pāku'iku'i juveniles. These models will employ a detection occupancy model framework, and then what those models will help us generate is a set of maps that predict where juvenile Pāku'iku'i are and where they are not. Our plan is to then have some combination of diving and ROV or remote operated vehicle surveys that ground truth those model predictions and help us decide which of the candidate models best predicts where Pāku'iku'i are. We're going to try and focus our efforts right now in East Hawaii, where these species and juveniles are relatively more abundant. And then once we have decided which of these candidate models are the best, we will try to apply it to a set of sites on the west side of the island and do targeted surveys for Pāku'iku'i in those locations where they are presumably more difficult to find. Ultimately, our goal is to better understand the drivers of distribution for this species, especially during their early stages of life, which will be directly applied to inform DAR's adaptive management plan in West Hawaii for Pāku'iku'i, leading into the December 2024 sunset of rules. I will also use my research to continue to participate in the structured decision-making process surrounding Pāku'iku'i regulations, and hopefully we will unravel the mystery of this adorable species decline. Thank you so much for everyone taking the time out of your day to listen to my presentation today. I hope you found this information about this cute fish adorable and intriguing, and if you have any questions, I welcome them, and if we run out of time, I have my email listed on the bottom there as well.
I have two questions. The first one, I might have missed this, you might have said this, but does this distribution pattern only apply to juveniles, or is it also like applicable for adults as well?
The distribution pattern, we're not quite sure where they are distributed, and that's what we're trying to figure out because they're not sure. Our focus is trying to figure out why we're not seeing any on the west side. There's much more on the east side, and we're trying to figure out their habitat associations and such in order to predict where we might be able to find them in their distribution on the west side.
And then my second question is, do you have any guesses for why they're not as widely abundant on the west side versus the east side? Or is it just totally?
There's a couple hypotheses that we have, including coral bleaching events and also the types of surveys that DAR has been conducting, that they're not specifically targeting Pāku'iku'i juveniles on their surveys, so it may not completely accurately represent their decline, but there's still enough to cause concerns.
Good job.
Yes.
You mentioned sampling at different phases. Have you found any kind of association with what you catch and the moon?
So not quite yet. We've had quite a bit of difficulty with the light trap with some equipment difficulties, and so we've lost some catches, but so far, no, we haven't seen any associations between the new and half moons. Lauren?
So you have a really low number of the juveniles over on the west side.
Yes.
Is that same in the adults? Or are the populations about similar on both sides?
No, the juveniles, they have been much less abundant, I believe, than the adults. And we're not quite sure why the juveniles aren't recruiting to the west side. Yes.
Beautiful presentation. Sorry, the videos were not working.
Oh, that's okay. I had backups.
But I did have a question about, have you thought of looking into the abiotic factors like water temperature and salinity on the west side versus the east side to see perhaps that could also influence why they have a preference to a side of the island?
No, we haven't been considering that too much. It hasn't been part of our survey so far, but that would be an interesting addition to my thesis. Thank you. Great. Dr. Hart?
How long does it take the juveniles to become adults? And how small are the juveniles when classified as juveniles?
So this transition between juvenile to adult, this is what a part of my research I'm doing, and I've noticed that maybe a 6-month range, I can tell that they're becoming more into adults, and the cutoff for juveniles is 8 centimeters, and you can kind of tell that they're a juvenile by the, here. So this one's a juvenile, you can see by the just orange dot right there, and then as they grow in age, this one's a little bit older, and you can see by their orange dot growing, and then it eventually forms into their adult teardrop. Thank you so much.